Is Ken Lewicki of channelinginc.com. Welcome. And if you want to know more about me and the channeling training that I do, please go ahead and visit my website at channelinginc.com. And today's topic, I'm going to be talking about normalizing channeling. So this is really, really, really important because where I want to get, my mission in life is to make this world a better place by teaching people how to channel. That's my life's mission. And this is what I do all day, every day, teaching people how to channel, for example, their spirit guides. And what I want to do is have people where they get to a point in their spiritual journey and their channeling development where they're actually tuning into their spirit guides on the spot in the moment, and it's no big deal. And this could be true for men, for women, and you can take this and really be empowered. For example, like men can use it in their everyday life and be really manly about it and awesome about it. And same with women, they can do this. And it's just a normal everyday part of their life. And we can, I see a day where, we're at work and we're channeling while we're at work. And then I see a day where, after work, we go hang out with friends and we're like, oh, hey, you see a spirit guide there beside you? Yeah, they have a message for you. And they're like, oh, yeah, really? Thank you for sharing. And then, oh, yeah, I see your spirit guide as well. And they have a message for you. And it's just an everyday normal part of your life. And this is what I call normalizing channeling. So what I mean by this is channeling doesn't need to be all weird. You don't need to be all like woo, like all like, do all this stuff beforehand. And you can if you want. Don't get me wrong. I love woo-woo stuff. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful, but you don't need to. You can be a business person. You can be an awesome channeler. You can be an artist and you can be an awesome channeler. You can be in corporate and you can be an awesome channeler. And I could go on and on and on. So any industry you can imagine, you can use channeling for it, but not just channeling for your work and career. You can also use channeling for all the areas of your life, for health, relationships, soul's purpose, being a better parent, for example. And I could just go on and on and on, hobbies and recreation and you name it, all sorts of different things you can use channeling for. And so the reason why I'm so passionate about normalizing channeling is because oftentimes what will happen is people are like, oh, before you channel, you have to light a candle. Okay, well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Or before you channel, you have to sage first. Okay, well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. So what I've found is through my journey, teaching people how to channel for over 20 years now, is that most of the time these things that people say you're supposed to do before you start channeling are just not necessary. And what I want to do is I want to teach my students, empower them to check and channel their own spirit guides so they can check this stuff to see if what they need to do or what they think they need to do or what they're taught, what they thought they were taught to do is actually true and relevant. And maybe it is and maybe it isn't. And what I mean by this is that oftentimes we're taught or told we need to do something with spirituality before and that we need to do this stuff, but oftentimes it's just not relevant or it's not applicable to us, but sometimes it is. And sometimes it's very helpful. For example, your spirit guides might be encouraging you to meditate, maybe 1 hour a day, every day, consistently for a certain period of time. So you do that, and that really helps to increase your channeling abilities. Another example might be what I want my students to do is get to a point where, let's say, for example, you get up in the morning and you want to, what I call the ABCs. You want to always be channeling. And what I mean by that is not necessarily that you always have information coming in when you're channeling, but you open up the satellite dish so that you can always receive information if it's wanting to come in. So for example, you might be in the morning time, you might be getting up and getting ready for breakfast and stuff like that, getting ready for work or whatever it might be. And you feel when your spirit guides come in. So you're like, oh, okay, who is this? Oh, it's the spirit guide. Okay, what's your message? You receive the message. You're like, okay, thank you very much. And then you continue on with your day. And then maybe you hop into your car or your vehicle, whatever. And then while you're driving to work, you feel this spirit guide, this other spirit guide come in. And you're like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, good. And they're like, you're like, do you have a message for me? And they're like, yeah, I have a message for you. What's the message? And then they give you that message, and then you continue on driving your car, and then you get to work. And while you're at work, you're you're channeling your spirit guide only when they come in. You feel their presence. They come in. They're like, okay, good. The spirit guide came in. And then at lunchtime, maybe you go out for lunch. Maybe you go to a park, and then you feel that another spirit guide come in. You get a message from that spirit guide. So your ABC. What I mean by always be channeling, it doesn't mean you're always channeling your guide. It means you're always available to receive messages from your guides. And I want to get my students to a point where it's no big deal. It's just an everyday normal part of their life. Maybe you work like a corporate job like I used to, and I would be in board meetings and I'd be channeling in board meetings. In board meetings, you're not usually going to be like, oh, let me take out my pendulum, or, let me do muscle, and all this stuff. And no, you just channel live, and you do it behind the scenes, but it's just an everyday normal part of your life. And then, for example, for me, like I might, go to this restaurant and I might meet some people I've never met before. And at some of these restaurants I go to, like, it's really busy. So we just have to kind of share tables. I'm like, hey, is it okay if I sit here? And I don't know anyone at that table. And then I'm checking with my guides. I'm like, should I share about, like, because I see their spirit guide right there. So I'm like, they're like, yeah, these guys are open to it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, hey, did you know you have a spirit guide right around you? And they're like, what, really? I'm like, yeah, it's a male guide, and here's the message for you. And they're like, wow, that's so cool. And then they like start tearing up because the message is so profound. And then another person's like, well, tell me about my spirit guide. And then this other lady's like, so I'm like, oh, you have a female spirit guide right there. And they're like, what, really? And what's the message? And I'm like, okay, here's the message. And I give that person a message. And then they start tearing up. And, within 20 minutes, half an hour, the whole table is just enthralled in this like spiritual discussion. And it's just an everyday normal part of my life. And that's how it could be for everybody. And not just you, but all the people that you come across. And not just for them, but like the people that they encounter. And I do see a day where, as a human species, in the next few years or decades maybe, that we can have it where everybody's channeling their spirit guides, and it's just an everyday normal part of their conversation. And what I mean by this is that we actually have so much connection to the spirit realm all the time. Like, we are 99 point whatever percent spiritual. Imagine like you're walking through a downtown city place, okay, downtown city, and you're aware of all the people around you. You're not paranoid or anything, but you're just aware. You're like, okay, this person's crossing the street now. This person's like, walking past me, okay, and this person's coming towards me, and you're just aware of what's going on. What if we did this with spirituality? What if we did this with our spirit guides and other people's spirit guides? And you're just like, oh, okay, I have a spirit guide here, and this, you know, um, while I'm grocery shopping, and oh, I have this other spirit guide here, when I'm at this restaurant, and oh, and this person's spirit guide is coming in, and we're just as aware as we are in the 3D plane. We're just as aware of what's going on behind the scenes in the astral realm with their spirit guides and other people's spirit guides. How cool is that? Now, this is normalizing channeling. If you want to learn how to do this, I teach full-blown certification, formal training, certification, channeling training workshops. Please go to my website, channelinginc.com. As you can tell, I'm really passionate about this. Let's make this world a better place by teaching people how to channel. When you learn how to channel at these really, really advanced levels, doing what I call fast channeling, where you can channel on the spot, in the moment, anytime, anywhere, you can do amazing, unlimited things with channeling. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Talk to you soon.